Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
6:55 on your Thursday morning, raining, but here comes the good weather, folks. Temperatures in the 60s over the next couple of days, in about 3 or 4 days, and as Noam pointed out, next weekend, the 10-day forecast has temperatures in the 70s. So if you're like me and you're sick and tired of this brutal, brutal winter, freezing temperatures, snowstorms, beats the hell out of you. Physically, it really does beat the hell out of you. The good news is help is on the way. As I said, Joe Beningo is a legend, one of the all-time greats, still does a show Saturdays on WFAN, but now contributes regularly to this program. We love Joe, one of the greatest WFAN personalities and, quite frankly, sports talk personalities in the history of the business, live from somewhere in New Jersey, I think by the Mawa Diner. Here he is, my friend, Joe Beningo. Joseph, good morning. How are you?
Sydney Arthur, not too far away from the Mawa Diner. Now, wait a minute. I have to ask this question before we go any further. So you were on CB, because I don't watch CBS, NBC, and I certainly don't read the Daily News. What was the thing going on with you yesterday?
I mean, where have you been, Joseph? This little feud going on between me and Mayor Mamdani here in the city.
Well, that's a surprise, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't imagine. Jesus Christ, I can't imagine why that's the case, Sid. Yeah. You and Mamdani having a feud?
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, it's over now, but it was a good 2 days of. It's still going. I think Noam said he drove to work this morning at about 2:45 a.m. And the second story, is that right, Noam? Was it the second story?
That's right.
On 1010 Wins? Was me and the mayor, and out of the corner of my eye, I can see these televisions in my newsroom, 3 large screens above Noam's head, and I keep seeing my face on TV. But I think this will be the last day of that. I want to move past all that, though, and talk about stuff that's more fun.
One thing, though. See, this is why, you've talked about this before, this is why the big guy wants you in that position so you can go after Mamdani with his insanity. So I just want to point that out.
Well, I hope so. But it seems to me like the big guy actually likes Mamdani these days. And
well, that's all. Come on. You know what's going on there. You know.
Yeah, I really
Keep
don't.
your enemies closer, Sid.
Well, that's what people say. People do say that. I don't know.
On top of this guy's rear end.
Yeah.
So the city doesn't get freaking out of hand.
Yeah.
You know the deal.
Yeah.
Have trust in the big guy. Have trust in the big guy.
No, listen, I do. I mean, I trust him.
Right.
There's a lot of people, even Republicans, that are very upset with Trump with this whole war in Iran. Very upset that people
he's doing what should have been done years ago.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about it. Let's stop with the crap. The Democrats are against anything he does. There's certain Republicans, and we could get on to different ones. Thomas Massey comes to mind. Rand Paul. These guys would go against anything Don does. Lisa Murkowski. I mean, I don't want to. I could go on and on. You don't want to hear me talk politics, but that's the bottom line, bro. So screw all of them. Okay, screw every one of them. Here's the good news. Jasmine Crockett's political career is over. Be happy about that.
She lost in Texas, I know.
Be happy about the end of Jasmine. She'll be on The View any day now. But, just relax. Don's doing what had to be done. And believe me, he'll get out of there fast. This won't go on for a long time. He knows better. So I have confidence, Sid.
I do, and I am for it, obviously. There's a lot of people, again, that are very upset that 6 of our service members were killed, and There's the idea that, Israel and Bibi dragged us into this and all that. But I'm with you. 47 years they've killed. Forget about Jews and other people around the world.
Yep.
They've killed so many Americans dating back to that awful bombing in Beirut in 1983, and no one's ever done anything about it. No one's ever done anything about it.
Crisis. You weren't born yet.
No, I was. I was 12 years old. I remember it well.
You were just a little whippersnapper.
I know, but I remember sitting I remember sitting in my dad's car with all the gas lines in Brooklyn. I remember that very, very well. I was 12 years old. Jimmy Carter was the president. We couldn't get gas. Jimmy decided to boycott the Olympics, which really, really hurt us. And then not long after that, we won the Olympic gold with the men's hockey team in Lake Placid. I remember all those events. I was somewhere between 12 and 13, like it was yesterday. And it was ugly. It was ugly. So all these years and all these presidents, and like you said, Trump finally did something about it. But I do want to get to that 1976 season.
Oh, my God. You can remember Lou Holtz. He didn't even, and may he rest in peace. And Lou Holtz was an all-time great college football coach, there's no question. The last guy to win a national championship in Notre Dame in 1988. But he was a terrible, he stunk. He didn't even finish the season. He was so bad. He had the Jets like singing like college fight songs. I mean, this guy, it was the final year of Namath's career in New York with the Jets. That was his last year. He was beyond the shell of himself. I'll never forget, actually, I was in Ohio for a while. I actually went to the opening game that year. They played the Browns in Cleveland. They wound up getting killed, which was Holtz's first game. I think it was 34-10, whatever the score was. At the old municipal stadium there in what they used to call the Mistake by the Lake, not anymore. But anyway, he was a terrible head coach. He stunk. He didn't last the season, and but rest in peace. He was a great head coach, and I had a great man, very religious guy. God bless Lou Holtz.
See, there are a lot of people that didn't like Lou. That 88 season, Joe, in Notre Dame, they went 12-0. They won the Fiesta Bowl. They were the consensus national champs. And
Miami,
Christians versus the convicts.
The convicts game, that one.
Yes, Catholics and convicts. And I was at Miami just 3 years before that when Bernie Kosar was still the quarterback. At that point in 88, I believe Jimmy may have been the coach, or Dennis Erickson, I forget. But either way, there are a lot of people who thought that Lou Holtz, who actually contested that Lou Holtz cheated when he was at Notre Dame. You kept hearing that time and time again. I didn't buy into it, even though I'm a Miami guy, so I don't love Notre Dame. But that was a pretty large percentage of fans who thought who thought that Lou Holtz got away with murder at Notre Dame.
Well, look, he wouldn't. Now I don't know. I don't know that for any kind of a fact. I really, honestly, never heard anything like that. But look. He wouldn't be the first, and he certainly wouldn't. Now you don't have to worry about it anymore. You just pay the guys. That's it. There's no
it's just
concern,
ridiculous.
No concern with college sports anymore. Just pay them a few million, and you're good to go.
It's so ridiculous what they've done. College basketball. Here we are, Joseph. We're in March. We're getting ready for conference championships. Before you know it, in a couple of weeks, we're going to start the NCAA basketball tournament. And there was a time not that long ago when I can tell you every team, every player. Like I know, for example, that Arizona's having a great year. I know that. I know that in the Big East, St. John's and Rick Pitino are doing a very good job. But they proved last year that a big-time team in the Big East can't beat a moderate team in the SEC. We saw that last year when Pitino lost to Calipari in Arkansas. But I knew every player, every team. I saw guys spend years, Chris Mullen at St. John's, Patrick Ewing at Georgetown, Bobby Hurley at Duke. That's all gone. They have completely ruined, I know this is an old story, but they've completely ruined college basketball.
Well, you could take the money, just forget even the money aspect of it, Sid. It's just that most of these guys are one and done. When we were growing up, these guys stayed. Patrick Ewing played 4 years at Georgetown. Michael Jordan played 3 years at North Carolina. These guys basically stayed for a long time. You knew what kind of team you had. That's not the case anymore. Now these guys are here and they're gone tomorrow. Unfortunate. At least with St. John's, Zuby Okafor has been there. Now I think it's his third year here. I know he transferred. I forget where he transferred from, but he didn't start at St. John's. You still have – look at this Miami of Ohio team. That's still the only undefeated team in college basketball. Nobody talks about them because they're Miami of Ohio. They're like 29-0.
Because nobody talks about college basketball.
But my point is with them, They got all these guys that have been there 3 or 4 years now.
Well,
You know
that
what
was
I mean?
but that was the case, right? When they first started this nonsense with the one and dones, you would see a team like Jimmy Larinaga. He coaches Miami now, but way back when, I forget the school he was at, but they were a Final Four team, or Florida Gulf Coast years ago had a Sweet 16 appearance. And what you noticed from those teams were, while the big time teams had better players that were gone in a year or two, these other teams had kids that played together for 3 or 4 years. That creates chemistry and synergy. So that's why these schools who don't have McDonald's All-Americans on their teams tend to be more competitive because, like you just said, they play together.
Yeah. No, that's it. I mean, it's a big factor. There's no question about that. But we don't really see that too much anymore in college basketball. It's really a shame.
No, it's terrible. In fact, when you mentioned Miami of Ohio,
guys can go to 4 different, like they can play 6-7 years, especially in football, 6-7 years.
Oh, yeah.
And go to 4 different schools. It's a disgrace. I'm with you.
You got guys in college football that are 24 years old that are playing quarterback. And you mentioned Miami of Ohio. The first guy I thought about was Ben Roethlisberger, the former Steeler quarterback.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's true. He is going to Hall of Fame. Let me get to the basketball here. The Knickerbockers lost to Oklahoma City last night. Now, a couple of days ago, they shocked the hell out of me. They beat the San Antonio Spurs by 25. I have these conversations with my amazing little boy, Gabriel, who's not so little anymore, 17 already, but he loves the NBA. He's forgotten more about the NBA in the last 15 minutes than I even know. He follows it closely. He can tell me G League players. He can tell me the guy coming off the bench. I can't do any of that. I watch some of the games. I'm aware of who the great teams are, whether it's Detroit in the East or Oklahoma City and San Antonio in the West, but I don't know all the details like he does, the minutia. But I know this: the Knicks have their stretches where they look like they can beat anybody, and then more than often when they take on big time competition, they don't win. So the question is, Stephen A. Smith on this show last week said the Knickerbockers are probably the 3rd or 4th best team in the East, maybe the 6th or 7th best team in the NBA. Joe Beningo, what do you think about the Knicks?
Well, I think they're better than the 3rd or 4th best team in the East. I mean, I will say that. Look, they're 40-23, and I've said this all year long, and I don't get crazy about the regular season. When you are a team like the Knicks, the regular season is an 82-game exhibition schedule, which all it really matters is for seeding. And this team is going to win. And by the way, the officiating last night was a disgrace in this game. Okay, there were 2 challenge calls. I don't even know the name of the Oklahoma City coach. There were 2 challenge calls that got overturned in favor of Oklahoma City that really were the difference in this game. And the game, and Knicks lost by 3 points. But I don't want to, I don't want to get crazy with all of that. It's it's a regular season game. They're going to win their 50. I've been saying this all year. They're going to win their 50-plus games. They're going to win the first round of the playoffs, whoever they play. Toronto, Philly, whoever it may be. They'll win that first round. And then it's a crapshoot. One thing we know about the Knicks, they can win on the road and they can lose at home. They've lost so many brutal, big-time playoff games over the last 40 years in Madison Square Garden. I don't want to start breaking them all down. I could, but including last year, against Indiana. Here's the best news if you're a Knicks fan. The Pacers won't be in the playoffs. How about that? Look, Detroit is what they are. I know they killed them 3 times. Look, Detroit goes into the playoffs with pressure now. You know what I mean? They're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. Let's see what happens. Last year, the Knicks lost 4 times to the Celtics, beat them in the playoffs, won the first 2 games in Boston. I don't get crazy about it. It's all about the postseason. It's all about the playoffs. Do I think the Knicks are winning a championship? They haven't won one since 1973. Why the hell would I think they're going to win one now? That's my feeling, okay?
Yeah.
They're a very good team. Thank God they were in the abyss for 20 years. It's funny. There's only my teams are like this, Sid. So the Knicks were the worst team, were the worst franchise in professional sports for 20 years, and now the Jets are. You know what I mean? It's amazing how they are. How they kind of transition from the Knicks to the Jets. But the Knicks are very good. Relax with the regular season. I know I got a little tough stretch here. They play Denver on the road. They got the Lakers on the road now. Just relax. Enjoy the rest of the regular season. and you can start getting nervous when the real season starts.
You mentioned the Jets, and we started this conversation with the sad passing of Lou Holtz, died at 88 years old and did spend that one tragic season, 1976, Namath last year, coaching the 3-11 Jets. 60 seconds on the Jets, because I got to get to the Mets and Yankees before we hang up.
Go.
The draft is coming up in Pittsburgh next month. I've seen these articles on ESPN, other sports places, where they try to figure out who the 32 starting quarterbacks are for the NFL teams next year. I know my team, I've got Jackson Dart, no worries there, but I've seen everybody from Malik Willis to Vinny Testaverde for the Jets. You tell me, what do you think the Jets are going to do with that ever-important quarterback position going into next season?
Well, first of all, I think that they may draft a quarterback this year in the later rounds. I don't want Kyler Murray. I want no part of him. He's a knucklehead. I want no issue. He doesn't want to play football in my mind. I mean, the guy's playing Mortal Kombat when he should be watching game film. I want no part of that guy. I don't really, you know what, bro? I don't really care. You could bring Malik Willis in. I don't think they will. I think it's going to cost too much. You could bring in a guy like Kirk Cousins, Mac Jones, whoever. That's a stopgap guy. So I'm not really. It doesn't really matter to me. I think they'll be better. I got a lot of confidence. I have no confidence in the head coach. I got a lot of confidence in the general manager. Good job by him franchising Breece Hall. They're keeping him. They should try to get a long-term deal with him. I think the GM knows what he's doing. They got the 2nd and 16th pick in the first round. They'll take one of the best defensive players there is, whoever that is, the kid from Ohio State, Reese, Bain from the U, maybe this kid Bailey from Texas Tech, one of those guys. I would not take the kid from Alabama at 16, the quarterback. He hasn't played enough. I don't love him. One good thing about you talking about these quarterbacks now that are 24, 25 years old coming out of college, they played a lot of football. You got the guy at the U, Carson Beck. Even though he threw that big pick at the end of the championship game against Indiana, that kid's played a lot of football, bro. He was 4 years at Georgia, 1 year at Miami. He's like 24 years old. I'd take a shot at a guy like that in the later round. Because you look at what Bo Nix has done, and I understand the Jets don't have Sean Payton as the coach, but you look at what Bo Nix has done in Denver, and I didn't love him, but, he played a lot of football. He was like a veteran guy. So, I'd take a shot at a guy like that, but I think that their quarterback will be next year. They got 3 picks in the first round next year. You got Arch Manning coming out. You got the kid from Ole Miss coming out, Chambers, who I really like. You got a bunch of different guys. Moore from Oregon will have another year for him to develop and come out. You got the kid Sellers from South Carolina. Next year's the year to draft your franchise quarterback, your young franchise quarterback. This year's more of a stopgap. Yes, I want to win games. Let's see but I do have confidence in Muji. I do love the fact that Frank Reich is the offensive coordinator. He actually got a professional guy there that, can actually help develop a quarterback and knows what he's doing. So that's where I sit with the Jets. I don't think Aaron Glenn will be long for the world. We'll see.
For the world, geez, that's even worse than his job. 4 minutes to go.
You know what I mean. As far as
I know what you mean. 4 minutes to go. I got to get to both teams. So let's start with our team, the New York Metropolitans. A lot of changes. A lot of our favorite guys are gone. I keep having these same conversations. Maybe it was about President Trump, the arguments in the clubhouse and the dugout. I don't know. But a lot of our favorite guys are gone. Everybody's upset about Pete Alonso. So Steve Cohen, who could have brought him back. He did bring him back last year. Let's talk about the guys we have now, though, okay? What do the Mets look like entering this new season?
Well, they should be good. I mean, the starting pitching is going to be better. I mean, you got Peralta at the top of your rotation, McClain. So it looks like you got 2 real good starters at the top of the rotation. And hopefully somebody makes a comeback. Minaya, Peterson, Senga, somebody in there kind of, takes the mantle a little bit. Maybe the kid Tong is a factor in the rotation. I'll tell you, I think they're going to hit. I'll never get over Pete. I still haven't gotten over Seaver or Strawberry. I'll never get over Pete either. And I don't want to get into all of that. And I blame Cohen more than I blame the genius, from Harvard, who's smarter than everybody. But
You're talking about the GM, David Stearns?
Yes. Okay. The little genius, as I call him. He's the smartest guy. He'd be in a room with Trump and thinks he's smarter than Don. But whatever. Yeah. Okay? Be that as it may. I mean, look, they should hit. Bichette is a real good player. Soto should have a good year. Hopefully, maybe this kid Carson Bench turns into something if he's the starting right fielder. Hopefully, Lindor's back from his injury. my biggest issue is the bullpen. They let the best reliever in baseball go. What a disgrace. And I have no confidence in Devin Williams. So that's my biggest concern with the Mets going into the year. But they'll be in contender. And if they don't make the playoffs, Mendoza's gone. And I'll tell you right now, Stearns will be gone too.
All right, finally, the New York Yankees. I had Carton on the show a couple of days ago. I mentioned to him that his buddy John Heyman, he goes, we're not buddies. I knew that. That's why I said it, Craig. John Heyman was on last week on this program, and he talked pretty highly about
Heyman
the Yankees.
He's a good friend of mine. I like Heyman.
Yeah, so do I. He's on this show a lot. He's my baseball guy. And he talked very highly of the Yankees. You know, he did say the American League is going to be improved this year. He thinks the Tigers are a real team. Teams inside the Yankees' own division improved. You mentioned Alonso. Baltimore should be better.
Right,
Toronto went to the World Series last year. The Red Sox should be better. But he, like I believe, that if Cole comes back and gives you something, you talk about the Met rotation, the Yankee rotation, at least on paper when healthy, is the best in baseball. Now, offensively, they did bring back Cody Bellinger. There's some other issues with that team, no question about it. I'm not sure Aaron Judge loves the offensive talent in and around him. They also brought back Trent Grisham. But your thoughts on the Yanks? Heyman seems to think they could be right back in the World Series.
Why not? Why not? You know they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, that's a given, right? I mean, the Yankees are going to win 90-something games, and they're going to be in the playoffs. And then it's a matter of what they do once they're in the playoffs. I completely agree with you about the pitching. I think if their rotation is healthy, it's as good as anybody in baseball, no question about it, starting with Cole, Slitler, all those guys, Fried, right on Rondon. The rotation is going to be very, very good. We'll see what the bullpen turns out to be. Bednar at the back of the bullpen now. They'll hit. It's a very tough division. Like you said, division's very good. You got the Blue Jays. You got the Red Sox. You got the Orioles. Hopefully Pete hits about 55 home runs in Baltimore. I hope he does. I'm so ticked off at Stearns. Oh, my God. And I got to see Cohen sitting courtside. He was there Sunday, and he was there last night at the Knicks game with his Met hat on. Maybe you should be with your freaking team in spring training, huh? How about that?
That is kind of weird. He's sitting there.
How about that, Steve? Instead of being at the Garden worrying about the damn Knicks.
Well, he must have meetings with the casino, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's why he has to be in New York.
That's what he cares about more than his baseball team. Let's be honest about it.
I knew you were going to say that. Right. So you want Alonso to hit 55 home runs in Baltimore, but you think, like we do, that the Yankees could be very good. They're not going to win the World Series. I mean, at this point, every season is academic. The Dodgers have guys on the bench making $200 million. They're going to win their third consecutive World Series, and that's why next year, hate to tell this to baseball fans, there's not going to be baseball. There's going to be a lockout. It's going to be 100%. A long, drawn-out lockout. It's a big issue. So the Dodgers are going to beat the Yankees, maybe win the World Series again, and then there'll be no baseball next year. You think that's a pretty accurate scenario?
Well, I'm not. Look, I don't. There's no guarantee. I mean, look, the Dodgers on paper look unbeatable, but baseball is baseball. Anything could happen. Anybody could beat anybody in a short series. We know that. I think there's going to be a long lockout. It's time for a salary cap, Sid. Let's be honest. I mean, baseball's got away with it forever. Okay, you need a cap and you need a floor. You have to spend a certain amount. You can't not, be the Pittsburgh Pirates every year and not spend anything. You have to spend a certain amount, but you have to have a ceiling on what you can spend. And the Players Association is going to fight it tooth and nail. And I think the only way that's going to work is if there is no baseball. And I think you could see an entire, similar to what we saw in the NHL a number of years ago. You and I were together. We'll never forget that. I think you're going to see something very similar in MLB where we're not going to have a season. So buckle up. Enjoy this one, baseball fans.
Totally agree. Joe, as always, spectacular. We'll all be listening on Saturday morning.
Keep up the great work. Let Mandami have it. Go talk to him. You should go have a meeting with him. Why not? If Don can meet him, Rosenberg could talk to him. Right or wrong?
Well, you're going to have to call Danielle about that first, Joseph.
Your wife don't want you talking to him?
No, I mean, nobody that I'm close to likes the guy. Nobody wants a relationship. That's N.J. Burkett from Channel 7 was interviewing the mayor yesterday, and he was the one who brought it up with the mayor, the whole apology incident, and he said, you accept it? And the mayor said, well, we'll see. Time will tell. And N.J. Burkett said, well, how'd you find out? Did he call you? And the mayor said, no, I saw it on social media. And then NJ said, well, what about him calling you? Would you take a call? And Mamdani's, I think he said yes. I don't know. But I don't know. Well, that's something that we could address down the road, you know.
I don't want you getting in trouble with your wife, Sid. So I mean, you know,
yeah. We don't need that.
But you know, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world for you to, you know, go over there and if Don could talk to him, you could talk to him.
Now, I will tell you this: it would go wild. It would be viral. There'd be millions of people interested in it, listening on the radio, be on TV.
Look, I understand that. You know, one thing about you that I've known for years, you're not a guy that really looks for a lot of publicity. I understand that. So I could see. God. No, seriously. So I could see where you would want to refrain from that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I do, yeah. You're funny, Joe. That's a heck of an appearance, brother. I love you. Thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you, bro. God bless America. All the love, Sid.
That is Joseph Beningo. You can check him out Saturday mornings on WFAN. He's here about once a week as well. He's a great sports guy. He's also turned into a really astute political guy. He loves President Trump. It was Trump who actually made Beningo start talking about politics more than the Mets or the Knicks or the Rangers because he loves Trump so much. We'll take a short break.
He's great.
He's great. He's always got energy. He's got great opinions. And he's always honest. How do I know? He always starts off his sentence with, let's be honest.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
Yeah. You don't lie. He's going to be honest about it.
Right.
We got a lot more great
lies, I'm going to be in shock.
A lot more great guests stopping by. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Thursday edition of Sid and Friends in the Morning. Rick Scott, Nicole Maliotakis, Vicky Palladino, Victoria Coates, Bill O'Reilly, all still to come. It's a big-time show. Thursday with Sid.
At Manhattan University, a graduate degree is not out of reach. You'll gain real-world skills, credentials employers value, and connections to New York City's top companies. Choose from their new Master of Science degrees in healthcare informatics, digital marketing and analytics, business analytics, or financial analytics, all built around hands-on learning and industry partnerships. Graduate ready to lead, not just work. Take the next step at manhattan.edu/graduate. Manhattan University. Lead the future.